The Alaska Triangle seems to be more volatile than other areas of the world.
In one sense, it's not surprising they have a number of people that go missing there. It's quite fantastic when you look at the stories behind the missing.
Mallory was last seen less than 1,000 feet from the summit and still going up.
I looked sort of over and down the very steep slopes leading from the summit, but I saw nothing, no sign of Mallory's passing.
This is George Mallory. Really? George Mallory. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Renowned for its electromagnetic anomalies, Alaska stands as a realm of infinite mysteries, like the town where people inexplicably disappeared, the expedition that ended in the death zone, and decades-old crimes that remain unsolved. Get your blankets, because in today's video, we are uncovering the creepy secrets of Alaska's cold depths.
In one sense, it's not surprising they have a number of people that go missing there. It's quite fantastic when you look at the stories behind the missing.
Despite having a missing person rate more than double the national average, the so-called Alaska Triangle has somehow managed to slip under the public radar.
Like other triangle areas of the world, planes will crash, people will go missing. The Alaska Triangle seems to be more volatile than other areas of the world.
Located between Juneau, Anchorage, and the small town of Barrow, the area is a hotbed of paranormal activity. So, how did it start? And what exactly happened that led to the disappearance of 20,000 people in the area? Well, it started back in 1972, when 2 U.S. representatives were traveling from Anchorage to Juneau. Then, something happened along the way, and they, along with their pilot, disappeared without a trace. Search teams were deployed, but no evidence, not even their aircraft, has ever been found. But one of the biggest disappearances was the loss of 44 military personnel en route from Alaska to Montana. It just vanished, and the mystery started to develop, with UFO experts and local folklore all suggesting something unexplainable.
Very common stories of what you might call monsters and the like.
With alien abductions and people encountering Sasquatches, this area has kept on adding more questions than answers. And to this day, no one has anything to say with certainty about the mysterious triangle. Mystery on Everest.
Mallory was last seen less than 1,000 feet from the summit and still going up.
In 1922, George Mallory, along with other climbers, decided to go on an expedition to climb and attain the summit of Mount Everest. But it was proved to be a huge challenge, as no one could go above 8,300 meters. Although they achieved a world altitude record, it was overshadowed by the loss of 7 porters. Mallory felt defeated and abandoned the expedition. It wasn't until 1924 when he set up another expedition, and this was his chance to do what no one had done before. He would even offer his own life in return. He was accompanied by Andrew Irvine, who knew how to operate the state-of-the-art oxygen set they were using, something Mallory greatly valued, so much so that he ignored the fact that Andrew wasn't an actual climber. Together, they reached the base of the final part of Everest, where clouds began to cover them from all directions.
Mallory and Irvine reached the second step. At this time, Mallory had to make a major decision. He decided to send Irvine down. He would take Irvine's oxygen, and then Mallory could continue on the risky climb to the top.
And that was the last time anyone ever saw them. Once again, Mount Everest won. This expedition alone gave rise to one of the greatest mysteries ever. Frozen in time.
As they get closer to the mound, they see something that they can't unsee.
In October 2005, 2 backcountry ice climbers made their way to the base of the Mendel Glacier, just over 1,000 feet below the summit. And along the way, they noticed a piece of fabric fluttering near the rubble. As they got closer to the mount, they saw something that they won't ever forget. Lying face down with arms spread out was the frozen remains of a World War II soldier. Upon closer inspection, they saw the words U.S. Army Air Corps on the fabric.
U.S. Army Air Corps is an old name. It's a forerunner of the U.S. Air Force.
The hikers brushed the snow off the body and noticed he was also missing a leg. The climbers alerted local law enforcement of their bizarre discovery, and within days, a specialized military response team was on the scene. They ended up taking a block of ice back to the lab, where forensic anthropologists figured out who the soldier was. After analyzing everything, they found out that this was the remains of Air Cadet Leo Mustonen, who was only 22 years old when he got lost. Dyatlov Pass Incident.
We do not believe that the mystery can ever be solved because no one survived to tell the story.
In 1959, a group of 9 experienced hikers went on a trek in the Ural Mountains, Soviet Union. This journey was led by Igor Dyatlov, a skilled outdoorsman, but as they stepped foot into the frozen wilderness, things took a mysterious turn. The first strange event occurred when the group deviated from their planned route, heading toward the ominous-sounding Dead Mountain. Later, they set up camp on the slopes, and what unfolded next remains a chilling enigma. The hikers, who were brimming with life, abruptly abandoned their tent in the middle of the night. They were half-dressed, barefooted, and ran into sub-zero temperatures. With no update from the expedition, rescue operations were set up with helicopters and volunteers. When 2 volunteers discovered the abandoned tent, it raised more questions than answers. Tragically, the hikers were found scattered in the surrounding area. Some exhibited signs of a struggle, while others unexplained markings.
Injuries of the victims, so rib and skull fractures, were unusual.
A few even had traces of radioactivity. For decades, the mystery of the 9 missing hikers has troubled experts. Although new research suggests it was due to an avalanche, many are still not convinced due to what happened to the hikers.
It's like alien abduction, that they were attacked by Yetis, this huge mystery that's obsessed Russia for decades.
16 missing people. Back in 2018, Jared Lysick from Oregon kicked off a cleanup mission in local rivers. As Jared's squad grew, so did their dives. They upgraded to hauling up cars from the water, but then the unexpected happened. During 2020, the squad was getting ready for a mega Oregon dive. They're live streaming, thinking it's another car, but what they found was horrifying.
Copy, copy, I can hear everything you're saying.
There we go, I got the point in hand.
Whoa! Call the cops, call the cops, call the cops!
A body pops up with a car, which freaked out the crew and the locals. Authorities were contacted, and it turned out the body was of a missing person, later identified as Timothy Robinson, who disappeared 12 years prior. After the Robinson case, Jared and his crew really shifted their focus to solving more cold cases. They bought a used RV for their gear and traveled the US for 45 days, working another 30-some cases and solving 2 more.
In that period of time, we worked 30-some-odd cases, and we solved 2 more cold cases.
As a rule, they don't charge families and fund their efforts with YouTube revenue and donations. Since then, they have worked on dozens more cases and found 11 more missing people across the country. Impossible Everest rescue. Gelya Sherpa, a seasoned mountaineer, was leading a client to Mount Everest's summit when he noticed a stranded climber from Malaysia in a dire situation. The stranded climber had no support, no oxygen, and time was running out. Gelya faced a dilemma as other climbers and guides were solely focused on reaching the summit. In a selfless act, Gelya decided to rescue the Malaysian climber. The challenge was great, as he had to strap the climber to his back and descend 600 meters over 6 hours before receiving assistance from another guide. The duo took turns carrying the climber, navigating through snow, until they reached a helicopter that transported them to base camp. The rescue proved exceptionally difficult, even for Gelya, who had undertaken over 55 rescues in the past. Despite the challenges, Gelya's determination and selflessness prevailed. The rescued climber, whose name remains undisclosed, was later flown back to Malaysia once his condition stabilized. Gelya Sherpa's heroic efforts highlight the courage and compassion that Nepali Sherpas bring to the world's highest peaks. Ali Zadpara. Ali was a celebrated Pakistani mountaineer who accomplished significant feats in high-altitude climbing. Starting as a porter, he gradually made his way to renowned peaks with various expeditions. In 2016, Zadpara played a crucial role in the first ever winter summit of Nanga Parbat, earning praise from teammates. In June 2018, he became a part of Beyond Mount Everest program, which included climbing summits like Nanga Parbat, K2, and Mount Everest in 2019, 2021, and 2022, respectively. Unfortunately, this would be his last successful mission. On February 5, 2023, Sadpara went missing on K2 along with 2 other climbers during a winter ascent. The trio aimed to achieve an unprecedented feat, scaling K2 without oxygen. Despite Sadpara's son, Sajid, being part of the team, the attempt faced challenges, leading Sajid to turn back due to illness. Once communication was terminated, a military-led rescue mission was initiated, but the search was quickly called off. Nepalese Sherpas discovered Sadpara just 300 meters from the summit in the death zone, marking the conclusion of a remarkable mountaineering career. Under the ice. Celebrating their 18th anniversary, Amanda and her husband, Brian, decided to go on a walk with their dogs along the Eagle River in Alaska. They stopped to rest when one of the dogs went to drink water from a nearby ice hole, but accidentally fell inside. Brian jumped in to rescue the dog, but when he got out, he saw his wife jump in too. Witnessing his wife entering the river to save their beloved canine, Brian could only wait helplessly as Amanda vanished under the icy water. He said, "I waited and waited and am still waiting." Rescue efforts, including helicopters, drones, divers, canine teams, sonar, and remote-operated vehicles, were deployed.
When they were out there surveying the site, we had a Department of Public Safety helicopter doing aerial surveillance yesterday within the area. So the dive team is confident that they are searching in the right areas.
Despite exhaustive searches, officials found no accessible areas of interest, registering Amanda as a missing person. Amanda did not jump in to save just a dog. To her, it was a family member. And for her husband and their 4 boys, she is a hero. The Last Mountain. Tom Ballard, the son of renowned mountaineer Allison Hargreaves, who passed away on K2 in 1995, continued his family's legacy by embarking on his own journey. In February 2019, at the age of 30, Tom Ballard and his Italian climbing partner, Daniele Nardi, went on a hiking trip to climb Nanga Parbat in winter, and that's where they went missing. The climbers last communicated from an altitude of around 20,700 feet, sparking concerns for their safety. Initially, the search was called off due to bad weather, but it resumed when silhouettes were observed on a route taken by the climbers. Officials later confirmed that the 2 shapes spotted were indeed Tom Ballard and Daniele Nardi. The challenging nature of Nanga Parbat, one of the most dangerous and difficult mountains globally, especially in winter, made the rescue mission impossible. Like his mother, Tom found the purest enjoyment and satisfaction in climbing alone. Like her, he was drawn to alpine faces and the world's highest summits. And just like her, he passed away doing what he loved. Frozen Expedition. On May 19, 1845, the HMS Erebus, with its sister ship, the HMS Terror, sailed out of the River Thames, carrying 128 officers under the command of Sir John Franklin. Their mission? To travel through the Northwest Passage, a pathway from Atlantic to Pacific through Canada's ice-strewn Arctic inlets. A little over 2 months after setting sail, the ships were spotted in Baffin Bay, just east of the passage's entrance, where they disappeared forever. Rescue expeditions came up with disturbing clues, like a trio of graves at one site, a note at another site dated April 1848, indicating that Franklin and 23 others did not survive. And then, in 2014, a search team found the wreck of Erebus, and 2 years later, another team found the almost pristine wreck of the Terror. In August 2019, remarkable video of the HMS Terror showed a wreck that appeared to be frozen in time, intact cabins, an array of neatly stowed artifacts, and closed drawers and cabinets. Perhaps behind one of those doors lies a crucial clue, a map, a letter, or a journal. For almost 200 years, the fate of the Erebus and Terror has been a mystery. Now, finally, maybe the ships themselves will help to solve it. Arctic Ghost Ship. In 1931, the SS Bachimo set out on yet another of its routine Arctic runs, but this particular expedition would be anything but routine. As the Bachimo navigated the icy waters in northern Alaska, it found itself trapped in the frozen grip of the rapidly forming sea ice. Unable to break free from it, the ship was effectively immobilized, and its crew were left with no choice but to abandon it temporarily. The crew thought that the ice would soon thaw, which would allow them to go back to their ship, so they set up camp just half a mile away. However, the Arctic winter showed no mercy, with temperatures getting lower and lower, so the crew decided to return to their ship, but were met with an unexpected sight. The Bachimo, their steadfast vessel, was nowhere to be found. Given the severe conditions, they thought that the ship had drowned. However, the ship had not sunk, but had been swept away by the powerful currents under the ice. And to this day, the ship wanders the ocean as a ghost, only seen once every decade. Flight 232. On the 15th of August 1976, Flight 232, en route from Quito, Ecuador to Cuenca, was reported missing while in flight. The aircraft carried 55 passengers and 4 crew members. Searches of the possible crash area produced no results, and authorities could only suggest that it crashed mid-flight. But for almost 3 decades, nothing would surface again. In October 2002, 2 members of a mountaineering club were exploring a new route to a summit when they came across a wreckage. However, they did not report it immediately. The discovery wasn't confirmed until February 2003, when a team hired by the television network went up the volcano to record a video of the wreckage and found remains, newspapers from the day the plane disappeared, and identification cards of known passengers. In the end, the passengers' families declared the Flight 232 site a holy field, meaning no official investigation of the tragedy would continue, which is why the cause of the crash is not known, and perhaps never will be. Kenny Veach.
This is an old mine, and there's a hole here that just goes way down.
In late 2014, these words were posted on a YouTube video. The man behind the screen was an avid hiker, Kenny Veach. His comment would set in motion a series of events that would lead to one of Nevada's most puzzling urban legends. After posting his original comment, many encouraged him to seek out the cave again. So Kenny set off, this time with a camera. But upon his return, he informed everyone that he was unable to find the cave. People asked him to try for a 3rd time, although one comment would stand out as an ominous foretelling. No. Do not go back there. He told his family he was going for a short overnight trip, but he would never return. Search parties found Kenny's cell phone near the mine shaft that was in his video, but after a while, the trail went cold. Some say he fell down the mine shaft, while others insist he found the cave and discovered a dark secret that lies within. What do you think? Chris McCandless. Chris grew up in a well-off family, but the materialism of such a life brought with it more challenges than benefits. He was affected by the dysfunction in his parents' marriage and the discovery that his father had a second family he couldn't bear anymore. After graduating from Emory University in 1990, Chris cut ties with his family, donated his savings to Oxfam, and went on a cross-country journey. This new lifestyle meant he needed a new identity, so he changed his name to Alexander Supertramp. Aiming to live a simple, nomadic life, Chris eventually made his way to Alaska. It was in April of 1992 when he came across the now iconic Magic Bus. For months, he was surviving on minimal supplies, but unfortunately, this wasn't enough. Chris was growing weaker and weaker until the inevitable happened. A few months later, an Alaskan hunter by the name of Gordon Samuel came across his body. Some see him as a courageous adventurer, while others criticize his recklessness. Geraldine Largay. In July 2013, 66-year-old Geraldine Largay took on the challenge of hiking the trail from Tennessee to Maine. During her hike, she strayed away from the trail to relieve herself and planned to meet up with her husband at a designated spot later that day. But when she failed to show up, he reported her missing. Search and rescue operations were deployed with hundreds of volunteers and professionals searching the area. However, despite their efforts, she was only found 2 years later, in October 2015. Largay was discovered in a tent about 2 miles off the trail, along with a journal in which she had recorded her final thoughts and experiences.
The last couple of years, being out here searching real rugged area to, bring her home for her family.
She survived for 26 days after getting lost, but ultimately passed away due to lack of food and water. One of the entries was, quote, "When you find my body, please call my husband George and my daughter Kerry. It will be the greatest kindness for them to know." Largay's case highlights the importance of safety measures for hikers to follow. Chris and Lisanne. On April 1st, 2014, Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon left their home to take the family's dog on a walk through the scenic forests in Boquete, Panama. The 2 women had been hiking around the Panamanian jungle for the past 2 weeks as part of a backpacking mission trip. However, after they waved goodbye to their family, they were never seen again. The family noticed something was wrong when their dog returned alone and the girls were nowhere to be found. The search began, involving locals, police, and even the families who flew in with Dutch detectives. 10 weeks passed with no sign of them. A local found Froon's camera, and when further investigation was carried out, they found something shocking. Disturbing photos on the camera showed scattered belongings, Kremers' head, and mysterious mounds of dirt. Police questioned the locals, but nothing besides the photos and call logs provided them with evidence as to what had happened. To this day, the disappearance of Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon remains a harrowing mystery. Amy Rowe Bechtel. The unsolved disappearance of Amy in 1997 remains one of the more baffling cases in U.S. history. The massive search launched when she vanished was like no other in Wyoming then or since. The young, fit athlete went jogging in the Shoshone National Forest, and not a trace of her was ever found. Posters, flyers, and signs went up everywhere for years. 2 detectives zeroed in on one suspect from the beginning, Steve, the husband. They said if a man's wife mysteriously disappears, you don't refuse to cooperate with the cops. But Steve's alibi appeared locked tight. His friend vouched for him, saying they were together in Dubois most of the day. However, no third-party verification has ever been made. The investigation hit a wall when an FBI agent attempted to strong-arm Steve and accused him of being responsible. He said he had evidence linking him to the crime, and Steve got so spooked, he lawyered up. But that went nowhere. With all of these details in mind, let me know in the comments what you think happened to her. Buddy for life.
They found a man from Pagosa Springs dead in southern Colorado. His dog was alive right there.
Rich Moore of Pagosa Spring, Colorado, went hiking up the 12,500-foot mountain, but never returned home. His family contacted emergency services, and search and rescue crews dropped in by helicopter to search the area. As they moved toward the trailhead, they came across his car with no sign of Moore anywhere. That was the case until 2 weeks later, when a hunter stumbled across Moore's body along with his pet dog, Finny. Somehow, Finny had survived for more than 2 months in the wilderness and didn't leave his owner's side. Dozens took to social media to express their condolences to Moore's family and hailed Finny as a hero. Many pointed out how shocking it was that Finny survived for that long just to stay by Moore's side. According to authorities, Moore was unprepared when he made it to the summit. He was only wearing a cotton hooded sweatshirt with no water or food left. Investigators haven't figured out how he passed away, but they don't suspect any foul play. Finny was brought to the vet and then reunited with his family. Lost for a week. Perry, a resident of Houston, went on a journey after renting a car in Midland, Texas. She parked at the Lost Mine trailhead in Big Bend the next day, approximately 240 miles away. However, she failed to show up at a reserved campsite in the Chisos Basin that evening, causing concern. With no sign of her after 2 days, park rangers, federal border agents, firefighters, and Texas's public safety agency initiated a search. It went on for a week, when, fortunately, around 9:30 a.m., they found Perry, quote, awake and talking, end quote, about a quarter-mile below the Lost Mine Trail's summit. The state's public safety department airlifted her to Odessa, near Midland, for medical evaluation. Video footage captured the moment rescuers assisted Perry off the helicopter. She appeared to be in a yellow helmet, moving slowly, but was in good hands. The National Park Service revealed that Perry had no food and quickly ran out of water during her ordeal. Thankfully, she has since fully recovered from the challenging experience. Rescued by trail cam. In a remarkable rescue story, a lost hiker in remote Alaska was saved after viewers of a live bear camera feed captured the man on screen. The hiker, appearing wet and exhausted, passed by a camera set up to monitor the brown bears. Eagle-eyed viewers noticed his condition and immediately alerted the multimedia company operating the cameras. The National Park Service was immediately informed and initiated a search and rescue operation. Despite challenging conditions with wind, rain, and poor visibility, park rangers located the hiker a few hours later. Fortunately, he was safe, and the rescue team successfully brought him back. The hiker's name has not been disclosed, and the circumstances leading to his being lost also remain unknown. The incident highlights the unexpected ways in which technology, like wildlife cameras, can play a crucial role in emergency situations, especially in remote wilderness areas. Life-saving photo.
It's a selfie taken by a hiker of his legs. He took the picture and then became lost. Well, it turns out that photo helped save his life.
A California hiker, Rene Compine, who went missing in the San Gabriel Mountains, was rescued due to a photo he took. Compine lost his bearings, and to make matters worse for him, his phone was running out of battery. With no time to waste, he sent a friend a photo of his legs dangling above a canyon. This friend uploaded the photo on social media, and that's when help arrived. Benjamin Kuo, an avid hiker and social media user with a unique hobby of identifying locations from pictures, saw the photo and recognized the background.
From the photo, if you look in the background, you can actually see there's a certain texture and pattern to what it looks like.
Kuo provided the coordinates to the sheriff's department, which helped rescue Compine within 3/4 of a mile from the suggested location. Compine was airlifted to safety and did not require hospitalization.
I'm so grateful for what you did. I probably wouldn't be here if I was ended up there another day.
It's time for today's open discussion. On Mount Everest, there's a dangerous stretch known as the Death Zone, located more than 26,000 feet up on the summit. Climbing Everest is already a difficult task, with icy slopes and unpredictable weather, but venturing into that zone presents even greater challenges. Oxygen is severely scarce, much less than what we breathe at lower elevations. Even with an oxygen tank, the human body struggles to function properly. It's dubbed the death zone for a good reason. Climbers become disoriented, they start hallucinating, and this causes them to make wrong and often fatal decisions. This is why most climbers are discovered from this very spot, with them losing their way, or simply due to equipment malfunctioning. Rescue operations are even more difficult, and sometimes even impossible. Despite all of this, climbers still try to overcome the mount. Those that lose their way are never recovered, and are spotted by other climbers. But why don't they remove them? Well, simply because leaving them there is less risky. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.